Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Special Slice of Gaming podcast. We just got off of our SGF reactions, not like reaction video, but we just finished watching the show, and a couple other showcases here and there. And we're ready to talk video games. We got a lot of thoughts, a lot of opinions, a lot of differentiating opinions, especially. I'm very curious to see what everyone's thinking. But joining us today, we got to talk about our guests. We got Fusion.
What's up, man?
Fusion, I know you are right outside SGF right now. You're our live correspondent. How are you feeling right now?
I am right outside the doors, and I was almost trampled 4 times.
Hey, that's how you know it's popular. Also joining us today, live in the audience as well, is Dark.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm in the audience.
Yeah, he's in the audience hall. How's it going there, Dark?
Well, you know, nobody tried to raid the stage this time. So.
Yeah, why didn't you try?
I don't want to die.
Slice of Gaming podcast. Subscribe.
I want to let you guys know that Jeff had security guards with turrets in the background.
Alright, sit there at the
It's like if you raided that stage, you was cooked, bro. That's it.
And finally joining us is the man who tried to raid the stage but got tackled by one of the guards, Bench.
Yeah, I had to make do with Miyazaki in the crowd.
Make do? What do you... what? Wait, what do you mean by that? Can you explain? What does make do mean? Wait.
He just dropped it and left it.
Let's continue.
He was typing in the Discord and he couldn't do 2 things at once for the audience out there.
Well, let's get into the showcase itself. First off, you could find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever pods are caught. Check us out on Twitter at A Slice of Gaming. Check out our video content. We got a lot of stuff coming up, but we don't got time to talk about what's coming up because we got to talk about Summer Games Fest, as I refer to it as Keely's birthday, and big birthday bash. A lot of opinions on this showcase, and I don't think I saw a single positive one. I think it's fair to say a lot of people are not happy with it, but we got one person that was happy with it. Bench.
I mean, I wouldn't say happy with it, but I do think it's like a 7 out of 10 show if I had to rank it. I think it's a show he had to make do with what he had, but I thought the presentation on its own, I thought the pace was good for what they had. It's just there was constant games coming, not many interruptions. There were 1 or 2 things like that weird ass, pretty much the Supercell game ad right towards the tail end. And that was the really one thing that broke up the pace, but I think other than that, there was just a constant flow of games, and surprisingly enough, the middle didn't feel like a huge empty void this time to me. I just thought it was good. Nothing crazy, but not bad.
Okay. Dark, how about you? How are you feeling?
I give it a 7 as well. This is... I don't know why people were getting super crazy upset about it. This is a standard Jeff show. If you watch any of Jeff's shows, it's the same type of quality here. Only props I can give them this time is that they didn't they didn't get some random ass actor on stage that clearly didn't care about video games whatsoever. They didn't do that here. Everybody here seemed to be pretty content and actually cared about games and shit. So yeah.
Hey, I mean, if Keanu Reeves was on stage, he would have cared. Just saying.
I mean, yeah, he would have.
And Fusion, I saved you for last. How are you feeling? I know you got opinions.
You saved me for last because I was going to be the most negative? That's insane.
Well, no, I saved you for last because I know you got the most to say.
Yeah, I thought it's weird. I wish we were kind of funny where we had a scale, our 1 through 10, because my 1 through 10 looks different than Bench's, and my 1 through 10 looks different than Dark. We're all going to have a different 1 through 10 scale here. But for me, the show was a 5. And I know Dark said this is in line with Jeff's other shows, but in my opinion, this was the worst show Jeff has ever done. Especially from the Summer Games Fest side, where we're now 4 years in. 2020 was the first year, I'm pretty sure. And I think, personally, this was...
2020 didn't have the opening night live.
Oh, okay, you're right. The show, yeah, you're right. Because that just lasted a few months. Okay, so this is, I guess, his 3rd actual, live show up there. I thought this was his worst one. And you can't put all the blame on him because he can only put what games he gets out there. There's not... He can only show what he's given. And that's what he did, but there was almost nothing for... I feel like for me personally, there was almost nothing, and just overall, I felt like this year was missing a lot of the world premieres and a lot of other things that past Summer Game Fest had. And past Summer Game Fest were never amazing in their own right, but they were at least, I would say, standard and good. And 7 out of 10 for me would be good on a scale, and 5 out of 10 to me more like this was mad, this was slightly below average.
Yeah, I think I'm closer. I'm in the middle. I very much look at this show like I am with Dark, where this is very much standard in line with Jeff's shows. Like I wouldn't even say standard in line. It's just slightly worse than his other shows. And even then, like I can't really get angry or say, "Oh man, this is the worst thing ever," because I just don't come into these shows with ridiculously high expectations, viewing them as like these crazy things where we're gonna get so many cool new announcements. I just come in, hope that I get 1 or 2 things I care about, which I got. I got 1 or 2 things I cared about. It's just the overall show, you could definitely tell like this is a slower year for Jeff. This is the year where he couldn't get like the big daddy reveals that I think he really wanted to go for. So yeah, I think I'm gonna land around a 6. Okay, like I don't regret watching it. I think a lot of people will say, "I can't believe I wasted 2 hours." What were you doing? What were you gonna do for 2 hours instead? That's all I say. It's like you get 2 hours of video game reveals, and what's the worst? Like there are worse ways to spend your time. I genuinely I'm not as invested to be hate mongering, or I don't want to say hate mongering. I think a lot of people are actually being very fair with their criticisms, understandably upset that like, yeah, this is the best we can get. You know, I miss E3, what we got from those showcases, because you look back and they were considerably better than what we get nowadays. But at the end of the day, you know, it's like I just deal with the hands I'm get. I deal with what we get now, and what we get now, it's like, yeah, it's not as good, but like the 1 or 2 trailers that I care about, I'm gonna be happy with. But let's get into the actual specifics
I could
of
jump
this
in real
press
quick.
conference. Go for it.
I'm just gonna say what Moon said because he posted his thoughts. He at first he said Moon said this was a 5 out of 10. Weird pacing and structure to the reveals, and personally no games that he was personally hyped for. Then about 3 minutes later, he said that actually it's a 4.5 because he forgot about the 2-minute mobile game ad full of celebrities.
That felt longer than 2 minutes.
And I think it was longer than 2 minutes. I think he's underestimating that length. I think that was about 6.
I think we're just giving Jeff too much hate. Let's hype him up.
No one's hating.
I don't think
I'm
we're giving
very
him any
happy
hate.
about
I
Jeff. I
love
love Jeff as a human, and I hope he continues to make his shows better.
I think that's the thing is that
he listens to feedback a lot.
yeah, and I think almost to a detriment it feels like, because he overcorrects a lot. You can tell, like especially with the last Game Awards, he is one to maybe take feedback a bit too much, too seriously, because he tries to appeal to every single person, and that's just not possible. So maybe, yeah, just run the shows like the way you personally would, the best way you think they could be done, instead of like, oh, I'll let the fans dictate how these shows are ran. I want to get into our highlights, our lowlights, and our midlights. Let's start with highlights. Let's start positive. Fusion, what's your highlight of the show?
My highlight, I'm between 2. I'm gonna go with the Horizon game, which started off the show. So I thought it was all downhill for me, but I really thought we had rumors and leaks that like it was going to be there. But even with us knowing it was going to be there, I thought it looked really good. Like I thought for me, everything they showed, I thought, I'll step back a minute because I think there were certain things in the reveal that I was like not expecting, like this whole entire like base building element with like non-Horizon characters. It looked like just your standard Lego stuff was thrown into this game, which I thought was a little weird. I thought it would be like completely all Horizon, but it seems like it's Horizon focused, but there's still non-Horizon stuff in the game, which is a little odd. But overall, I thought it like showed really great. There's like co-op. I like the Lego games, so like I thought this one looked really pretty. Like Lego games, or obviously they look better like as more games come out. They've been like, I don't know what engine the Lego games run on, but like they still, even the Star Wars saga, the last one, like looked really good. I thought this looked even better, like visually. So like I'm excited. I like Horizon as a franchise. It's one of my favorite franchises personally. So I know people are gonna complain that it's more Horizon stuff, but for me, that was my highlight of the show.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that game. I will say through the rumors, I was a little skeptical of like how it would look, what it would be like. Watching the trailer definitely got me a lot more interested. I'm still not like head over heels, like, oh, I want to play this right now. But I am this is something that I'm definitely going to be watching. Like, I want to see some more gameplay, some more footage. Hopefully, eventually, we get like just a full gameplay deep dive. What we're going to be getting out of this? Did we get an exact release date, or just said 2024?
Just this
Holiday.
Just holiday. Okay. I'm thinking that's probably a November game, something you just throw in right before the holidays. Bench, what's your highlight?
My highlight would probably be, surprise, surprise, Metaphor ReFantazio. I just think and I know, I'm definitely in the camp that Wolf is in, that they've probably overshown this game, and it's probably something that's going to continue to be overshown this weekend, as its showcase is going on right now, and it's at, like, the Xbox show, most likely. But, like, every time I see this game, I just get more excited. It's got, like, over, like, 40 different classes, and some are, like, legendary type classes, and that can evolve and all that. Just the combat, the premise of the story. I mean, this is just going to probably be one of, like, the best Atlas games, I think. I mean, Moon is kind of, like, lower. He doesn't think this is going to be mind-blowing, but I'm, like, definitely, like, this could be, like, I don't know if it's going to be as good as Persona 5 Royal, but fantasy is my genre, so this gets me extremely hyped. The combat, the art style, the story, like some of, like, the teases they're doing with how they're, like, treating, like, our world as a fantasy. You have to put in your real name. Just, like, everything about this game gets me excited, and I'm excited to spend, like, 80 hours in it, because I know it's just going to be absolutely massive.
I mean, there's definitely been a lot of showcases for that game, and hey, everything I've seen, it just keeps looking consistently great. I'm very excited to check that out. That's October 11th, I want to say.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That was a question.
It's the same day.
Thank you, Bench. Literally asked the Bench, and he's just
I know.
like, no, listen.
No, the JRPG fan me, I had to get in there. It's the same.
Thank you, Facial.
What's the other? There's another October 11th date you were excited about. That they revealed today.
Oh, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero.
Yes.
Yeah. But like, yeah, I mean, but like that's something I'd probably pick up like on Black Friday. Like, I'm excited for it, but like I can wait. Which that did get a trailer here. Still looks great. Not much else to say though. Like, we got that date. Looks fun. Dart, how you feeling about what's your highlight?
The Killer Bean game.
Oh my god.
Yes. I'm actually dead serious, but this game called me. I didn't even know that this game existed. I didn't know that this game was a thing.
You did it?
Yeah, so this game new to me. I thought it was a joke. It was Killer Bean is funny as shit, but the gameplay itself did not look. It looked very Max Payne-ish, but Max Payne on crack. It looked pretty fucking good. Apparently, one guy's making it, which makes it even better. I'm genuinely interested in this game, and I thought it was a really good showing. They showed a lot of it too.
Yeah, no, that game looks amazing. I think we saw a trailer for it earlier this year, and this was kind of our first like big full gameplay trailer. And yeah, it looks incredible. Like it looks way better than it has any right to be. Basically, just being
exactly that's what I'm saying. If you guys haven't seen Killer Bean, go watch. Like, it's on YouTube. Go watch Killer Bean. That game looks really fucking good.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. That's gonna be. That didn't have a date though. I think that just said summer.
It said early access for the summer.
Early access, yeah. I'm gonna be interested to hear what people say about that early access. For me, my highlight is actually the Power Rangers game. They showed a Power Rangers beat 'em up, and beat 'em ups aren't my genre, but I love Power Rangers. The music for just the Go Power Rangers was my fucking jam as a kid, and I love these 16-bit retro revival games. It has this beautiful art style. Love Power Rangers. Love that combat looked a lot more interesting, and there were some great set pieces. I think there was one on a straight-up roller coaster. So down for it. Can't wait. I don't think that got a date, though. I don't want to say.
No, it didn't, sadly. But that game looked really fucking good to me, too. It reminded me of the Turtles game that came out recently. And that was really
Shredder's Revenge. That game was sick. So yeah, if it's on the same level as Shredder's Revenge, I think we can get in for
a little bit less because the art style during the cutscenes looked.
Yeah, but
but outside of that, the actual gameplay looked pretty good.
Yeah, and also it's like with a beat 'em up. I don't know if you're there for the story in that regard.
Oh, not the story, but just the visuals.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Fair enough. Well, let's get into our lowlights, which there's a lot to choose from. Okay.
I go first.
Yeah, Bench, go ahead.
Listen, I already didn't care about Path of the Goddess, but like this, just like it looks like dog shit. Like great Capcom is being able to like use its money to like fund something, but I don't know how this game became a thing, like what's the story behind its creation, who wanted to make it, because they should have just been told no. Because everything about this game seems bad, and honestly, I'm glad it was here, other than Xbox, so it doesn't waste time there.
Damn.
Double dip.
I don't
don't
think
think
it was
so.
that bad. What the fuck? Holy shit.
It was whatever to me.
Game looked
I just
different. It's different from what Capcom is used to, but I don't think it looked terrible. Jesus.
I don't really think it looks
Fusion.
bad.
Fusion. What's your low light? Fusion?
Can I? Does it have to be a specific game, or can I say?
You can be like all together. What's your low
Okay,
light?
because I'm not gonna say the show as a whole, obviously, but I'm gonna say I think there was too many CGI trailers this year for games that already had prior gameplay. For example,
that's a question,
Wukong,
Okay.
the Dune Awakening, like games like that where we have seen gameplay of these video games at past Jeff shows, at past events, just past things where it's like, if you're showing me this game again, Space Marine, for example, if you're showing me these games again, why are we just putting out a quick CGI trailer for a minute with another date? Or some of them didn't even have dates. They just showed the game, and then you still, like the Dune game still didn't have a date on it. You just showed another Dune trailer that we have gameplay for and said, hey, here's a CGI trailer real quick for 2 minutes, and we're still not giving you a date for them. There was way too much of this in the show where at this point, if you're going to show up for your fourth or fifth time as a game, and you've already shown gameplay at some point, like go deeper into your gameplay or show me something else. I'm not invested in a CGI trailer for the fourth time at this point in your development.
I'm gonna jump to the defense of Wukong because I think it was very much a pre-order trailer that they can use as a commercial. That's not defending that it was here and what all we got was a CGI trailer, but we did get like a gameplay trailer like a week ago. And this was pretty much just to like sell people on who didn't see the game on the game, I think. And to be able to like plaster on like marketing and stuff. So I think that's what this was. Dune Awakening though, that's just weird.
Yeah, I kind of asked this question, Fusion. Why do you think that's the case? Is it just they want to get some extra marketing? Because if you want to get extra marketing, why not just show gameplay?
Yeah, that's my point. I don't see. I feel like maybe it's. Well, we know that it is genuinely hard to like put out a gameplay snippet out there. We've seen a lot of. But it can't be that much harder to put like a few minute gameplay trailer, like a gameplay dive in compared to a 3-minute CGI trailer. I don't know. Maybe it is that much harder because we do know like. Especially from like we've heard from PlayStation documentaries and stuff, how hard and how many months and years you can spend on a gameplay like deep dive. Because if your game's not ready yet, there's so much that could happen with bugs and everything else where you're making a perfect build to showcase to the public. So I understand it probably takes a lot on the back end and on the dev time. But I don't see how marketing wise this helps at all. Like as fans and as people wanting to play your game, we're going to sit here and say, hey, another CGI trailer, another this. Like I understand you just putting your game out as much as you can and saying like Wukong's been to like 7 different events at this point. They just want it out there. So someone new sat there today and saw Wukong for the first time, and they're going to be happy that they saw Wukong for the first time, even if it was CGI, where we've seen it 4 or 5 times now, where we just want more gameplay. Where I understand there's people out there who want just CGI because it's the first time they've seen it.
Well, Wukong also, I mean, I have no knowledge or anything, but I mean, I'd have to think Wukong's playable for people at Playdays tomorrow. You'd have to think that we'll hear some previews in the next couple weeks.
I think it's just weird to show like a CGI trailer at this point. It really does feel like it's like, oh, this is the last leg of marketing for this game. Like this is literally like in 2 months because it's not going to be at Gamescom because it comes out before Gamescom. So at this point, it's like maybe their viewpoint is, oh, well, we need to get one more trailer to remind people that it's coming out. I feel like if you want to remind people, just show gameplay. Just show maybe a previous trailer and put it in like one of the ad spots. It feels weird to like make a big deal like Black Myth Wukong trailer, and it was just a quick CGI trailer.
Yeah, it's very. It was that and a lot of just like there was too much crossover of hey, we're here now, but we'll show you more at Gamescom or Opening Night Live. Like why are you even showing up to Summer Game Fest just to tell me, hey, check back in 2 months at another Jeff Keighley show? Like, let's not do that, please. Let's just, if you're here at Summer Game Fest, show me something worth Summer Game Fest. Don't show up to just say, hey, we're here. Check this out in 2 months.
I got one that I really want to roast. My low light. Battle Aces. Y'all remember this bad boy?
Yes.
Where they
I was
showed
getting flagged for this damn
An
trailer.
amazing trailer, like visually beautiful, like animation. And you're like, whoa, let's see the game. And immediately, it's an RTS. And listen, I get it, RTS fans, I get you, I get it. There is a lot of greatness when it comes to RTS. You can't show a trailer like that and then immediately cut to RTS gameplay. It's the mobile game ad meme that we always say, but with RTSs. And I'm not saying RTS games are a bad genre. It's just when you show something like that, we expect like an action game or like just something more involved than real-time strategy. I don't know. I see a lot of people seem to be on the same boat as me. It's like you have to be careful when you market an RTS, in my opinion. I feel like with an RTS, you almost have to show gameplay first. Maybe that's crazy, but that's our problem earlier about like don't show the CG trailer after the gameplay. It's like, well, now what?
As soon as that trailer popped up, I knew immediately it was going to be a letdown. But it just screamed that the game was going to look nothing like it. And then when they did show the gameplay, and they were like cycling through all of the characters, none of the characters that they showed inside that trailer were inside of the game.
It
In
felt
any
like a
shape or
bait
form.
and switch.
It was a
Where,
bait
like,
and switch.
Yeah, it felt like a bait and switch, and it almost felt like an unintentional one. Where it's like, I feel like you guys should have noticed. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm like overhating on this, but it just feels so weird to market your game that way. Dark, what about your low light?
It has to be that like new Clash of Clans game. Well, quote unquote new, but I swear to God I've seen this game before. That trailer was very
I've seen it.
much them padding out the show because it was already running like kind of. I don't want to say like it was ending early. Like they were running out of stuff to show.
Oh
And they
yeah,
just
it was way
put that there
shorter
to-
than usual.
They're just putting that there to pad out time.
Man, that was such a weird thing. There was like a 2-minute trailer for this bad boy. I don't even remember what the game is called. It's like Clash something. It's by the Clash Royale devs, and it was literally just, hey, look at all these celebrities like Chris Hemsworth. We didn't recognize it as Chris Hemsworth for most of the
did.
trailer.
I know it was him.
No, you
They're
did
lying.
not.
They're
Dark.
lying for the
You
pod.
are a
I
liar.
did.
I'm not lying. I
did.
No,
told
Bench.
you.
Bench
Oh.
is right. Dark is lying.
I'm not
There's
lying. What the
no
fuck?
way.
I was the one telling you. I was thinking this is Chris Hemsworth. The fuck?
No, Bench said it first, though. You can't say it. You
Yeah.
said it first.
I didn't say I said it first. I just said I knew it was him.
Well, I've noticed Will Arnett first. I want to point that out. And I think who else was? I don't know. Celebrities. I don't care. It was a stupid trailer. Like it was literally like they showed like 2 minutes of gameplay, or not even 2 minutes, like 2 seconds of gameplay, and that gameplay just looked like, oh, it's a mobile game. Like who cares? And now we got our mid lights. This is basically just stuff that like we have weird feelings about. Like we can't say it's like, oh, this is great or oh, this is dog shit. It's just like I don't know how to feel. And I can't believe I'm saying this. My mid light is Civ 7. I don't know why you even show the logo. Like, I get it's a 2025 release date. I get like, oh, it's not out till next year. But like, I didn't get anything out of that trailer that tells me, oh my god, Civ is back. It was just like, I think for a while we expected Civ 7 eventually. So I wanted to see what was new. What are you going to change? Civ 6 changed so much from Civ 5, so there was an expectation of like, okay, what does Civ 7 do to evolve the formula even further? And I guess you can't really show gameplay of a strategy game like that on stage without it without us being like the Aces game and us complaining. But like, I think for Civ you could get away with it. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, that was definitely that's kind of what I wanted to go first though, just to like show an example of what a mid light be. Fusion, how about you?
God, it just sounds bad to call it a mid-light, but I'm going to Alan Wake 2 DLC only
Oh.
because it's not only because I didn't think it looked bad or anything. I just thought I didn't like the complete way. Like I'm very excited for that DLC, but I didn't like the way they showcased it. Where it's always great to have more Sam Lake. Like Sam Lake can show up at every event ever. That's awesome. But I didn't like that. We kind of just jumped into it. We didn't know. I still to this. I understand it's like you play as Jesse Faden, and I'm blanking from the dude's name on Quantum Break, but like you're playing as Past and a Rose from Alan Wake. You're playing as like other characters in this DLC, and it's probably going to be really weird and wonky in the Remedy way. But I'm still not sure if it's like a roguelite or if it's like literally just each character has one chapter you're playing through. It still gives me too much vibes of I'm not exactly sure what I'm getting into yet. And I think they did do a great job at showcasing that in the showcase.
Oh, you'll know very soon because it's going to Shadow Drop for tomorrow. So you jumping in on that?
Does it even cost money? I don't know if it costs money.
It does. You have to buy the
Okay.
season pass.
Okay. Well,
You gonna jump into it immediately or wait?
Depending on how much it is, I'll look at it tomorrow because I think I'm going to be able to move to a new single player sometime this weekend. So like, I'm going to assume it won't be very long either. So if it's something where I can't, if I have to buy a season pass, that's a little upsetting because that's probably going to cost a lot more than if I could just buy this individually.
I say wait until after the weekend's finished, just in case something gets shown and Shadow dropped on Sunday. You'd be like, oh shit. This is just, like,
Well, I mean, he could probably beat this in that weekend, though.
I know,
But what if
money.
something is? What if a certain like bug game is Shadow dropped Sunday and he really
A game
wants
that
to
should
play
not be
that?
named or that graced us with its
Earth
presence on
Defense
Sunday.
Force.
Yes.
You guys talking about Helldivers too?
We're talking about Silksong.
Obviously, we know.
But
Okay,
yeah, I say just wait a bit.
I'll
You're
say
already
this.
hesitant on it.
I can't find anything about the price of this thing.
That's what I
Oh,
mean.
yeah, Remedy hasn't revealed the price. Like, why?
I mean, how much is the season pass?
I think like
$20 for the whole. But that's for the
$20
whole
isn't
season pass.
bad.
So it might be like $10, but there's 2 parts of the season pass, right? And this is part 1.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be like
There's
10 to
DLCs.
$13.
Guess what?
That's not
I'll
bad.
go with Milo Light.
Okay, I love when Bench decides to run the podcast on its own.
Yep.
Dark,
You're
you're
fine.
next, actually.
Nope, I'm actually going to continue.
Nope, actually, sorry,
I think
Bench. Sorry.
Nope, I think Milo Light
That's
is.
fucked up.
Dark, mute him.
Yeah,
Dark, mute him.
yeah,
Dark,
I
mute him.
think-
We're not even
I think
doing
Milo
midlight.
Light.
We're doing midlights.
No,
Midlight,
I
we did
meant
Midlight.
Midlight. Yeah, I meant Midlight. My Midlight was Lego Horizon. I think
Oh.
it looked.
That's insane.
I think it was a little disappointing. It looks good. It's definitely not a day one. I think I was because I'm playing Lego Star Wars, like the Skywalker Saga, and that scale was just like it was such like a big game, and like the way it was presented, the way it felt, and this Lego Horizon is very much like going back to the Lego games before that, kind of like top down. You're kind of like walking around smaller spaces, and it's just co-op. This is co-op focused more, so I just think it was a little disappointing, and it's something I'll play eventually, but definitely not as like good as I thought it was going to be.
I give you like just a bit of info here.
Yeah.
You are comparing it to a Lego game that spans 9 Star Wars movies. 9.
I know, but
Talk
I
about
mean-
it's not on the Star Wars. Yeah, I hope it's not a 30-hour epic about Star Wars
That's
that
not-
has
that's
been
not what I
around
was
since the
saying.
1980s or 70s,
But
whenever this movie
okay.
was made.
You don't got to defend them. But I was thinking that going forward, we're not getting Lego games as often, and that was like a new. This was like bringing Lego games into the modern era. Because honestly, from what we saw, I think Lego Star Wars also looks just visually better than the Horizon game.
Yo, Lego
Don't-
Star Wars went through
Nope.
so much
Wrong.
development drama and
And it
trouble
was-
to make
and
it
it-
look like
and
that.
I know. All
It took
I'm
them
saying is,
years.
I thought going forward, it would have been like a new era for Lego games, where they feel more like an event, and they were bigger, and it wasn't just like IP Lego game. And I'm not saying Horizon is that, but just nothing blew me away from what was shown.
I thought it looked good. I haven't even played. I'm more interested in this version of Horizon than the actual Horizon game.
That's
Okay,
wild.
let's not go too far.
No,
Oh, no.
because as I like the Lego games and how they're formatted, I know what I'm getting into for a Lego game compared to like IP I never played before. You know, if that makes sense. But I don't think there's anything wrong with how the game looked personally.
Dark, you played Far Cry.
He's got to
You know what
rewatch
you're
the
getting
trailer.
into.
I have to rewatch the trailer.
Yeah, you won't watch it
Are
on
you
the 4K
are you
screen.
revoking my pony license?
Nope, it's not even like you were revoked a long time ago.
I was not.
He keeps trying to revoke me of my license because I don't get excited for certain games.
You just don't play games, Wolf.
Okay.
Wow.
Hey, let's get to Dark.
Dark,
Season,
what's
you
your
know?
midlight? Hey,
Um,
Fusion! You're doing the thing that I got mad at
No,
Bench for.
No, that was the joke.
So mine is the Street Fighter.
Sorry.
Oh, that was not the joke.
Yeah, it was the joke.
Mine is
Sorry,
gonna be
Dark,
the
go
Street-
ahead, midlight.
Mine's gonna be the Street Fighter second season pass.
Oh, really?
So the idea of them bringing Fatal Fury characters into it is really cool. That being said, it's the game itself that I have an issue with because the big issue with Street Fighter 6 is the roster and how many characters are missing from the roster. And it just feels really weird that instead of bringing characters that people like they did of other Street Fighter games that made them successful, they're resorting to crossover characters. Which feels like in my head, the way I'm justifying this is that Street Fighter 6 did really bad. That they're like, okay, we gotta whip out crossover characters. now.
What? They did not do bad. It's like
No, it did good at launch, but like I feel like it's not doing how they want it to do. I'm not sure if I'm explaining this properly.
no, I don't. These deals were
I
probably.
know. I
for
get what
launch.
he's saying. I don't know if Street Fighter 6's legs are nearly as strong as I think we were expecting it to. But
Yeah.
I also think Capcom's fine with what it's
No, I
doing.
think
I think
it's not
really-
a failure or anything. It just feels really weird when the big issue with 6 that most people agree with is the roster and the lack of characters that are missing.
I mean,
Well, the
I
big
just-
problem is that like every time they're like, "Hey, we're announcing this crazy crossover," it's skins. So this trailer actually got me more interested.
Yeah, I'm glad
not
these are
to play
actual
the
characters,
game.
by the way. Just the
Yeah, that,
first question I
that's the-
asked was, are these skin characters? They showed everybody.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like I think Terry and Mai are awesome additions as like crossover characters, and then you get what was it, M Bison?
Yeah, it was Bison.
I kept thinking it was Sagat. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
'cause
but
Bison was dead, but now he's not dead somehow. The story for 6 was really bad.
It's Street Fighter. It's Street Fighter.
Yeah.
You're not. But no, like M Bison, and then one more, the character from 3, which is actually a pretty cool pool.
I'm definitely. I don't play
it's-
Street Fighter, but I was hyped. Like, I think this is a very cool addition to the game, and I do disagree. I think Capcom is happy, and I think this game is just performing pretty well.
I'm not
Yeah,
saying the
just
game is
also-
doing poorly. It's really hard to explain how, like, what I'm trying to say.
I think
I just think
Capcom's fine.
Yeah, they're not in trouble of anything. I just think that the game itself, it feels like a really weird move, in my opinion.
I don't know. Everyone I know but you seems very happy with Street Fighter 6. You're the
I
only
agree- I
person
agree
was
with you.
saying-
I don't know.
I don't
It's
know.
just, well, that's the
Street
thing.
Fighter
Though. It's
6, from what I've been hearing, is very mixed.
Well,
I-
no,
I
that's the
heard-
thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think people are happy with how the game is, what the game is. I think it really is just like the legs of Street Fighter 6 don't seem to be nearly as strong as I think for a lot of other fighting games that have released recently. Now, granted, that could change in a year or two when they really start going hard on like these characters. And honestly, maybe this is the turning point because they just revealed 4 characters at once. I honestly think the problem with Street Fighter 6 was that the first like post-launch characters were just not good. I'm just gonna be real.
It really
They
weren't.
weren't thing. Like I don't. It's like Ed or something. That does not get people to want to buy your DLC. Akuma was great. He was the last one. You immediately look at this. It's like we got someone back from Street Fighter 3, like a fan favorite. Again, I forget her name. Don't get mad at me. We're bringing back M fucking Bison, and then we're gonna do a crossover with King of Fighters. That's immediately like 10 times better than the season 1 characters.
Yeah, I got a lot more eyes on it.
Yeah.
I'll give it
So
that.
yeah, I think Street Fighter 6 is in. I think it's gonna do a big like. I think Evo is gonna really show. It's like, oh, this game's doing well. Like people are gonna be very happy after Evo. So that's our highlights and midlights and lowlights. I guess real quick, I have a couple questions. Just how does this compare to other SGF shows? Immediately, Fusion. I know you said this is by far the worst one.
Yeah, I'm on. My take is this was the worst Summer Game Fest he has put out.
I'm interested. Do you think? I would say from a pacing standpoint, I disagree, but like from a content standpoint, I agree.
I can see that. Again, I didn't think the pacing was terrible. I thought near the end it was a little weird with that like 6-minute Clash of Clans ad with the
Oh, yeah. No.
celebrities and stuff. And he's gotten better at. I think the pacing has gotten better because he's gotten better at where he's putting the ads and how the ads feel. Like the ads, we saw a ton of ads today, but people won't realize they were ads because they were video games. Usually video games that were already out and they were just there playing as the ad, but there were definitely ads in this show. It didn't feel as addy. Is that even a word, addy? It didn't feel as like more
can't do
ad
that.
usage as back in the day where you genuinely knew you were in an ad break because like it would be a different screen and like it would be more of like, hey, this is an ad. This year it was like, we're gonna show you all these games that have already released and like mobile games and all that are definitely being like helping Jeff pay the lights and they're considered ads. But they were placed strategically where it just felt like, oh, this is another game announcement or this is just continuing to be the game. But they were definitely just ads.
Yeah, no, that's an immediate thing I noticed is that there wasn't like the obvious ad break, except near the end, obviously. But it was a weird thing where it's like, oh wow, okay, he doesn't have like the obvious like this is the ad segment, you're getting ads. But like, okay, here's one thing that genuinely bothered me was when we got into Honkai, which by the way, I want to point something out. Zenless Zone Zero just wasn't here. That is a game that comes out next month. That is the Hoyo versus next game. It comes out next week or next month. Just not here at all. No gameplay, no trailer, no teases or anything. That's weird. And then the Honkai trailer, I don't even know what was there. I don't know what the update was. So it's like, why even show up at that point? To me, it just doesn't really make sense. There's just so many points that I feel like a lot of devs like Hoyoverse, like Warframe, like these type of like, live service, big ongoing games type deal where they're like, hey, we want to show up with a game. Like we want to show up with our game at a Jeff show, but they don't have anything real to announce. So they're just like, oh, let's just put out a trailer just to cause. And it's like, why? Why do that? Am I crazy, or are you guys like agree with it?
No, I agree. I actually expected that game to show up too. I was like fully expecting, and then he wanted to do an update trailer. Like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
I do want to say.
Go ahead.
Go. No, I was going to change the
I was going to change the topic. No, I was going to change the topic. So go for it.
This outside of Killer Bean, because I did not know that thing existed. I'm going to forget everything at the showcase.
That's the thing.
I feel like the showcase happened.
And I feel like that's the case for a lot of Jeff showcase, like SGF showcases in particular. And I almost feel like that's something Jeff really needs to improve with SGF is like make these trailers pop, make them feel like, and at the end of the day, he works with what he's given, so it's harder to blame Jeff and more to blame these developers. But it's like, do you guys think we're gonna remember the Skate teaser? Like we didn't even talk about Skate got a teaser.
I forgot Skate got showed up.
Because it was like this.
Should enough showed up.
It's in pre-alpha. I didn't even know that was a thing. I genuinely was just shocked when I saw those words.
And like the way they did that, I'm sure was cool for Skate fans, and like the whole kind of tease of like the trailer and everything. But that seemed more like this should have been a reveal trailer when Skate was revealed, whenever it was a year or two ago. Like this would have been like the perfect trailer for like, oh my god, like. People who are huge Skate fans would have realized what was happening, and then people who weren't would have been like, oh, this is cool, a new Skate. To show this trailer after you've already revealed Skate whenever they did before was a little weird to me.
Interested in how you guys feel. Do we think SGF is going to continue being every year? Do you think even if they're like we have a content drought where there wasn't a lot of trailers this year, do you think Jeff is still going to persevere and make the show yearly, stick to it? Or do you think he's going to say one year, hey, there's just not enough here to make a showcase. I'm just not going to make a show.
I think he's going to keep on doing it because nobody else will. That's kind of how like he wheedled himself into the position that he's in now. He just hit the slot that nobody else was doing.
Yeah, I don't see. There's not. We can say there's dry spots in video games, but there's never really truly a dry spot in video game nowadays where like you can find something. There's so many publishers and so many devs and so many indies and so many people playing games now that like you can at least, maybe it won't be 2 hours every year, and maybe that's an issue. Maybe we always want longer shows as fans, but maybe the issue is, hey Jeff, you can't fill out 2 hours, so let's make this show an hour and 50 minutes, an hour on certain years. We're like, hey, we can't fill it up with everything we want, but like if you just make an hour of more bangers compared to 2 hours of a lot of fluff and what feels like filler at the end of the day, maybe your show just will feel better overall.
One other thing he can do too, and he did this year specifically. I don't know why he did this. If you're gonna have a show like this, which it's fine, the show's whatever. Do not come a few days before the show and be like, yeah, that's not gonna be here. This is not gonna be here. Do not do that.
I mean, that's be
like, I know he's trying to temper expectations. You could have done that without saying this and this are not going to be here. Because you could have got those people to watch the show and be excited for it. Even if there was nothing that they wanted to be there, you still get more people watching the shows.
I think he has like a very much an expectation. Like he wants to really set expectations. But I do agree where it's like he said so many things won't be there to the point where I'm like, well, what is going to be there? And it turns out, I guess, not a lot. So maybe it was right.
Easier to guess what's going to be there than what wasn't at that point.
Exactly. And then just very, very last question. do you guys think companies hold back for SGF? Like, do you think that they're still not able to? I guess, has Jeff not gone the full courtship of developers? Because it seems like he gets them for TGA, but like, do you think Summer Game Fest is like they're still unsure of like the future of it, and that's why they kind of hold back on it?
Yes. But if you think about it,
Go ahead.
sorry for cutting you off. If you think about it, you have TGS. 2 days you have the Xbox showcase, and then assumably next week is Nintendo. Why not just put your shows on those showcases instead of TGS? That's the mindset that I'm thinking that they're looking at it as, which is a much bigger showcase. You're gonna get a lot more eyes on it than TGS. Not Tokyo Game. The Game Awards, that's a different story, because you're gonna have a lot of eyes on that regardless. But yeah.
Yeah, kind of similar where if say you are Naughty Dog, you are Naughty Dog, and Jeff comes to you and he's like, "Hey, you want to be at Summer Game Fest or the Game Awards?" Like, if you had a choice you would pick, you're always going to pick the Game Awards because for one, you're getting more eyes on. For two, it just feels like more a prestige like showcase. Like the Game Awards now has like a kind of expectation around it where like the biggest game in the world is going to be here. The Xbox was revealed here. Like things next gen, like everything is there at the Game Awards compared to Dark makes a good point where Summer Game Fest. If you put your thing out on Summer Game Fest, you're now having to compete against everything Xbox shows, everything Ubisoft shows, everything Devolver shows. Like you're having 13 to 20 showcases in a week span, which is awesome for fans of the industry. But as a game, you're getting lost in the shuffle compared to if you're shown in December at the Game Awards. You're only competing against things shown at the Game Awards, which at any given time is like 30 to 40 games, if that. You're competing against a way smaller pool of saying, hey, we're going to have so much more eyes on in December at the end of the year compared to E3 week now. It's different because back in the day, Capcom used to have only Capcom. EA was EA. Xbox was Xbox. Sony was Sony. Just in a weird spot where Summer Game Fest is everything, where he's trying to fight for Xbox games and Sony games and EA games and Ubisoft games and indie games. He's trying to put all of those in one show when all of those companies are just like, no, we'll just show it ourselves when we can have more eyes on. Or we'll just wait for the Game Awards, where if we have to choose between Summer Game Fest or the Game Awards, Jeff, we're just going to be at the Game Awards because it's the better, bigger show. Like we're going to have more eyes at that moment.
Indeed. A lot of things to talk about. But that's everything in regards to SGF. We already set our grades. I'm going to be curious to see how Jeff improves the show moving forward. But
that's the thing. The last thing is like, gosh, I'm not even trying to hate on the show. I just wish that we always say Jeff shows usually get better every year, especially on the Game Awards side. And I've said on this podcast, I thought last year's Summer Game Fest, like I thought it was better. Like I thought it genuinely gets better every year, or there's improvements every year. And this year just felt like there was no improvement. I felt like a step back to me. So I really hope Jeff can like figure out, like take lessons from this year and say, hey, this didn't work, let's go back to what did work and then improve on what did work. Instead of, I don't want him to look at this show and say, let's improve from this show. I want him to look at his past shows and say, hey, these worked at the time, let's improve that.
Agreed. Moving on, there's not a lot of other news, just some quick things I wanted to talk about. Concord and Astro pre-orders are out. Right now, let me get this thing from Okami Games. Looks like Concord will sell for $40 USD, similar to Helldivers 2. And there are also early reports that Astrobot will be a $60 game. Not reports, they are fully confirmed. The game has a pre-order page and everything. It actually got Astro's Playroom got an update, and you could there's a countdown for Astrobot in that game, which is sick. But yeah, I kind of wanted to ask, just purely, is Concord kind of messing up by not being free to play? Because it is a 5v5 shooter. It's a hero shooter.
6v6.
It's 5v5.
It's 5v5.
It is? I thought I saw it with 6v6.
No, you saw the thing that said there's 6 PvP maps.
Don't you guys love when Bench interrupts me with wrong information?
Yeah.
But yeah, 5v5 game, hero shooter, where its biggest competition, Overwatch, is free. It is very hard to compete with free. Fusion, you're the Concord defender. Do you think? Are you worried about this $40 price tag?
I don't know about worried. I think because I think we can look. I understand Helldivers is different. It's PvE. They're not going for the PvP stuff. But I think you see this two ways. Either Concord's a free entry which is always at the end of the day probably the best choice. I do agree with. But normally when you're free entry, everything else is going to be so monetized and so like, hey, this DLC, these characters are all going to cost money. Where Concord's going the route where it's like, hey, you pay the $40 at entry, and now everything after that will be free. The DLC maps, everything free. The new characters, free. Cosmetic, whatever they're going to put, I'm sure there's going to be some type of, hey, buy these skins, because every game paid or free has skins you can buy for. But I feel like Concord's going for the price where they want to, for one, it probably costs a lot to make Concord. It's a team of very talented devs from across Bungie and Call of Duty and a bunch of former devs coming together to work on this. This is their first project as the studio. I'm sure at Sony still takes pride in putting prestige out there and saying the word prestige and saying the word like top of the line. And when you put out a free game, nothing against free games. There's incredible free games out there. Fortnite, so many. There's still, especially when you're a new IP and free, like X Defiant that came out 2 weeks ago at this point. That game's free, and that game's not doing great or amazing. It's doing fine. It doesn't. Being free doesn't immediately mean you're going to find success, and being $40 doesn't mean you're going to be dead on arrival. If the game is good, you will get the sales. I think it's great that they went to $40, and I could see a future where Marathon $40, Fair Games $40. That just might be the point of entry that PlayStation puts on these live service games, which I think is more than fine. I think after they saw Helldivers 2, everything's not going to end up being Helldivers 2. We know that. That was like, Helldivers 2 was doing insanely well, and I'm sure Sony wants everything to be Helldivers 2, but that just seems impossible to do at this point, especially with so many new IPs. It's not going to get to that point, but if you can even get half of this, if they can do genuinely half, even 1/3 of what Helldivers 2 was doing with Concord, that would be a successful launch, I think, for them.
Yeah, everything you said is true, but then you also have to remember another big competition it has is Marvel Rivals, and the potential that game has, and how many eyes and how many people want to play that game is kind of insane right now. Which is also free to play.
I think the problem. Right now its biggest competition is free.
Yeah, I think there should have, even if it's like they raised the price to $60, there's a free like mode that you don't get all the characters, but you still play like the main game, and maybe you can earn those characters, but you can pay $60 and just get the game and have that. But I think not having some sort of free option is hurting this game in a way that I think will actually like affect it negatively.
I definitely think I want to see how this game feels on the sticks. I want to know what that beta, like what people say in the beta. It is interesting. We were kind of talking about how like we expected Concord to arrive here at SGF. Apparently not. It's just not gonna be there. Sony just decided to say, yeah, the pre-orders are like the day before SGF, just cause, or like the day during SGF, just because they felt like it. It wasn't that they were actually gonna show anything. I'm curious to see how this game does, really. I'm just very curious to watching this game from afar, seeing how people feel about it, if it is the breakthrough in the hero shooter genre that like really makes it like much bigger than it feels. Because like, I don't know, it's just like right now sentiment around that game does not seem like very positive.
I will say, to the Marvel Rivals crowd, I do think there is some competition there. They're both team shooters in the Overwatch vein, but one is third person. One is more like actual ability based, where I feel like Concord is more of like, hey, we are a first person shooter. We saw every character in that game had a gun. Where you're talking about Marvel Rivals, they're gonna have obviously the Marvel IP, more known. But you know, when you look at Marvel Rivals, it's a totally different game of, at the end of the day, yes, they're both 5v5 hero shooters, but Marvel Rivals is that like each character has unique abilities. None of them are using guns. They're superheroes. They're third person. They're doing all this, while Concord seems more grounded 5v5 Overwatch.
Oh, yeah,
like,
I know you. Oh, you can go.
Where like it for me, I even think like Overwatch. Obviously, Overwatch is the best comparison, but even then, I think Overwatch is more in the vein of Marvel Rivals than Concord is to Overwatch, where Concord genuinely looks like, hey, we are shooter first, like the gunplay matters the most, and then we're adding elements of like, hey, they talked about the jump pads or the block this lane off with this ability. It almost feels like I'm sure the characters are going to have different loadouts and stuff. We've seen that, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as superhero-ish or ability-ish as Overwatch, and then especially not Marvel Rivals.
I know that. I know the game's not like exactly 1-to-1. I'm just saying the game's similar enough, and the playable versions of the game are coming out close enough that when you compare it, and then you compare it to brand new characters, new IP, to the world-renowned Marvel characters and IP that nearly everybody knows, you have an incredibly high uphill battle.
I will admit that.
It's a tough one. It's a competitive genre, and I mean, we've seen so many try, we've seen so many fail, and I don't know. I'm very curious to see where it ends up. Astrobot, though, it's $60. The current pre-order for that one. I think that's a fair enough price from everything we've seen. I saw a lot of people say that was way too much. I don't know what they're talking about. I think that's like, if you want games like this, you're gonna have to pay for games like this. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep.
Yeah, $60. I thought it would be 50, but I think 60 fine. I think people were saying that was Sackboy Big Adventure price, and that game was fun at $60. So
Yep. So yeah, not much else to say. Astro, Game of the Year.
I won't go that far, but it'll be top 5.
This dude and Rebirth. Moving on to our next story. Dragon Age the Veilguard. This is one that we thought would show up at SGF. Apparently not. Very curious. We got some details. Shinobi has a lot to go here. Big thing is Dragon Age Dreadwolf has been officially renamed to Dragon Age the Veilguard. Alright, let's get some opinions on the name shift. Because I hate it.
I like it. I know most people hate it. I like it.
I think
like
take
the
out
original
B
name.
and it's a bigger name. I don't think it's terrible though.
I mean, we've been calling it Dreadwolf this entire time. Why change the name now?
They gave a reason.
I think, yeah, I think I forget what reason they gave. I'm sure we should say, but like I think the fact that Dragon Age Dreadwolf had it was so negative every time you thought of that game, to the point where like maybe they're like, hey, if we just call it something different, and also when we show the gameplay and the game looks completely different, we can take away from those negative thoughts from 2 years ago, like when we revealed it, and then like all the leaks of how like it's now becoming an online service game, and like this game has went through like on the back end so much like development hell, and like Twitter spaces and fans all over the world just saying like, we don't want this game, like never release this game, like online trash. I feel like at the end of the day, this was probably better to just say, hey, scrap that name, let's throw out something new. Even if you don't like the name, it's probably a better idea to throw out a new name and then show that gameplay later on, and hopefully it looks a lot better.
Yeah. I just, it's the
The is weird.
Veilguard. Yeah.
That
It's
is
just like,
weird.
just call it Veilguard. He has some extra details here. First official 15-minute gameplay premiere on June 11th. Does that immediately tell you guys it's not going to be at the Xbox Showcase at all? Or
I
are we
don't
gonna
think it
get-
is.
I think a trailer will be at Xbox Showcase.
I don't think
Oh,
so.
really? Like a quick one?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Kind of how like, you know how Star Wars Outlaws was here for Summer Game Fest, and they were like, tune in to the Ubisoft? It'll be exactly like that.
I'll ask you right now, Fusion, any of these points immediately give you attention? That
I
Shinobi's tweet.
Yeah, I saw that they seem to go more in line. I haven't played the Dragon Age game, but I know back in the day you could have like 3 companions, I think, in those games. Where now it seems like they're going to the 2 companions more. I saw a lot of things I'm seeing is they're going more Mass Effect route. Like they want to go the more of like, we want to make this game more Mass Effect-y, and that sounds perfect to me. So I'm down for that.
Yeah, I think BioWare might be back. I think they're back.
Let's see the game first.
I
Let's see it
think.
first.
Listen, I'm not to get my hopes up, but I think they might be back. Everything
The
that they're saying is the
famous
things I
last
want to
words.
hear. Everything
Its
they
players
say,
can bring 2 companions along, similar to
Yeah,
Mass
and it
Effect.
used to be 3 in the other.
They said the combat was a big focus. They don't want to get, lots of story stuff, very fleshing out, like 7 different companions. Like, I don't know. All these are things that I like to hear for a Western RPG. Like, I'm hyped. If it's this year, like, I don't know, that could be pretty crazy. Like, this could be the
It's gonna
Baldur's
be-
Gate of the year.
Wait, you said Baldur's Gate of the
We
year?
haven't even seen anything from this game yet.
We
You said this
literally
could
don't
be-
know what this game is.
Listen, all I'm saying is we might be back.
Okay. I mean,
I'm
I don't think
just-
BioWare ever left, but you do you.
They left.
They left.
I'm not saying it. Play
I've
I've been
just
seeing
Anthem.
the-
Play
I've been
Anthem,
seeing the-
losers. Play Anthem.
I've been seeing the
I
Anthem
played
before
it!
come out, and I
Fusion.
don't know, man.
Fusion, I want you to tell me a single character's name in Anthem. Oh, he's thinking.
He's checking the archives, bro. He's doing.
He's thinking.
I couldn't
There
tell
we
you,
go.
but I know my thing was that I was a freelancer or something like that.
I don't even think it was freelancer. I think you got that confused with Concord.
No, that was definitely a free something Lancer. My Lancer,
will
yeah,
s-
a Lancer.
The flying on Anthem was sick. I
The
did
combat
enjoy
was
that.
amazing.
The
Yo, so
combat
tell,
was not
tell me if a
amazing.
serious
It was
face, the Mass
in-
Effect Andromeda was good.
I haven't played it,
Compared
but
to-
I'm
compared
going
to
to
the
play
main
it this year
series.
to hate. I'm going to play it this year to prove the haters wrong.
What if you hate it too? Are you just not going to talk about it at all?
I'll just
will.
say the B team was on it.
We'll never know.
Dude, Fusion. Here's the thing, though, is that most of what made BioWare, most of the people left.
Hey,
Believe.
they can look at they handled Legendary Edition. They got some of that like vibe.
Exactly. Yeah,
feel.
Legendary Edition
The
is
game was
amazing.
It was
Well-
disasters.
But they
But-
still
but
did a
they
great
got-
job
they-
putting it together.
They did a great job. Plus, they like saw some of like the DNA in there. They saw like I think BioWare.
Fixed a lot of the
I,
bugs.
I would have hoped they've done a great that the games were done. What the
I know,
fuck?
but
I'm
they
just saying,
kind of get the
think-
vibes.
Let's not think of Mass Effect Andromeda. That doesn't count. The last mainline, single player only BioWare game released, one game of the year. Put that into perspective.
In 2014, what else came out in 2014, Fusion?
Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor.
Did it actually?
Yep.
And
That game should have
And
won.
what else?
What else came out that year?
That game was
Probably
awesome.
Forza. Last of Us Part 1 remastered, like the remastered of
Still
PS4.
doing a remaster. There you go. There you
Um,
go.
There's games.
Bayonetta 2.
This
Yeah,
be
that
my
one.
first Dragon Age.
Probably like
And-
one of the what's the Xenoblade? I guarantee one of them came out.
They did not
in
come out.
2014.
Nier? Wasn't Nier in 2014?
No, that was
No,
2017.
That was 2017.
No, one of them Niers. There's two of them.
Listen, Fusion,
Dude,
you're trying to
no.
defend. Fusion,
Year
you're
one was
trying to
2010.
defend, but don't listen to them. They're doubters. They're haters.
That's all I'm saying.
Like,
Vince.
We're gonna-
Fusion,
this-
do you want to be on the side of the
Dark
guy
Souls
who's like,
2.
It's gonna be the Baldur's Gate 3.
Dark
of
Souls
the
2,
series?
your favorite Dark
Souls 2 is the worst one.
You know, the
but-
game that Miyazaki did not make.
That's my favorite one.
This is ushering
Dude,
in the new age of BioWare. Like, we're back.
Hearthstone. They beat out Hearthstone.
We
That's an
haven't
amazing
seen the
video
game.
game.
How are we back yet? We don't know. We're back.
I'm not saying we're back. I just said we never left.
Listen,
How do
they're
you say
ushering
that
in the new
with
age.
Anthem and
of
Andromeda? Okay, Fusion. Regardless of your personal opinion of Anthem and Andromeda, would you say that those games put a lower opinion on BioWare?
I think we're too harsh on them.
Oh,
Fusion, don't listen to them. They're
I'm
just
not,
making
bro.
You look
You
bad.
can't-
Yeah.
The thing is, in my mind, you want to be honest, in my mind, I can't believe that BioWare isn't the same because I fully believe in the Mass Effect project that's coming. I fully believe in that team, and I fully believe in the veterans on that team that are going to put out Mass Effect. So I know that this Dragon Age game is going to be in good hands, and they're turning it around, and it's going to be good. I'm not saying it's Baldur's Gate or whatever Binks was saying. We haven't even seen the game yet. Let's calm down on that. But I just have.
think my thing is it's something that like no one thought was going to be this year or was on no one's radar, and it's just going to come out and be really good. That's what I meant by it.
Let's see.
Real
What
quick.
just because the studio maybe puts out 2 bad games, does that ruin the 28
2
really good ones?
games in a row.
Okay,
In a row, Fusion.
Counterpoint. Counterpoint.
One of them they didn't want to make.
Rocksteady made a trilogy of genre-defying games, and they released one game and ruined their entire reputation.
No, but no,
Yeah,
they're
but-
not, there's reputation not ruined.
Yes, there is. What the fuck?
No.
It is.
Maybe in like
The
maybe
CEO's
no.
left.
Well, yeah, that's on them.
I mean, hey, listen. After that Jason Schreier article, I didn't have time to put it in, but man, that definitely showed those two look kind of like assholes
Exactly,
now.
that's on them. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
those two guys. I'm like, wait a minute.
It's kind of similar situation. Bioware didn't want to make
Hey,
it.
Hey, they got their new game though. Isn't there a new game coming?
The
Published by
Rocksteady?
Xbox?
Oh no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, in
gonna come in.
2028.
Yeah, who knows when that's dropping?
No, okay, but that's the thing, Dark. You say if Rocksteady makes another video game, are you really out because of Suicide Squad?
No,
Personally, are you out?
no. I'm not saying that I was out. First of all, it depends on what the game is. If it's not something I care about,
Let's say they go back to a single player game.
I'll try it, yeah, but the reputation is still hurt badly. That's why I was saying not that I'm not gonna be able to play the game again.
No, like
The
here's the
reputation
thing:
that they have is hurt.
we're not saying this Dragon Age is going to be bad. I'm just saying, like, the reputation of BioWare is much lower than it was in the 360 generation.
Sure, but like people, like I said, this is going to usher in a new age of
I-
BioWare. It's going to
I
change the
agree.
narrative.
But you could say that about a lot of studios, and I think would be nonsense. People would tell you straight to your face that's Naughty Dog. And I tell them they're idiots.
I wouldn't say Naughty Dog because they
You
haven't
would say
released a
that?
game that's in the 60s. Anthem
True.
was a 60 on Metacritic.
Okay, but
Critics are critics, you know.
I get that you say it's like, oh, they didn't want to make it. True, 100%. That a lot of Anthem's troubles were the fault of leadership, the fault of EA. Yes, I get it. But at the end of the day, that was their last game. That's the game that we currently remember them by. I want to look at this
remember them
Dragon
by
Age
the
and go,
trilogy.
I'm sold.
the remastered trilogy is what I remember. them by.
Remasters!
Well, that's what I remember.
They
them by.
had the
Bench,
dig
don't buy Anthem. I see you just posted the fucking
It's
store
$3.
page. Do not buy it. It's
Buy it.
literally dead. It is by all metrics dead.
But okay, but like you're saying all these negative things, but like BioWare's back, so
You can't. We don't know.
We'll
do.
come back to BioWare a week from now.
and we will be, and
Once
they
we
will
see the
look like
gameplay
fools.
footage.
They'll
If I
look like
see that
fools.
trailer, I will publicly apologize to Bench and Fusion if I watch that gameplay and I'm like, this is a GOTY contender. I am so excited.
Okay, you
Which
hear
is
that?
not going to happen. I'll tell you now.
And if it
I
looks
think, I
bad,
think I think you're coming in with a negative mindset. You need to like open your
Not
horizons.
coming
you
in with
know?
open your
I think
heart.
it's fair to come in with a negative mindset when your last game was Anthem and the one before was Andromeda.
Yeah, but this time they're like set free. They've had Legendary Edition to like clean their
Fine, yeah.
hands.
Okay,
How are
okay.
they still
What?
free? They're still under EA.
Obviously, we have differing opinions. We'd be
Well,
stuck
me
here all
and
day.
Fusion are right, but
No one's right yet.
Real quick.
Okay.
He joined the call like 10 minutes ago, but then we got in a very big argument. Moon, how you doing?
I'm
Right,
just
well.
enjoying listening to you all bicker.
Oh, okay.
My favorite pastime.
Well, do
Hey,
you have a
is Dragon
stance on
Age
this,
gonna
by the way?
It's gonna be the
On
bang.
Anthem and Dragon Age and BioWare and all that? No, not really.
You don't gotta talk about Anthem. You can,
But I will agree that you're only, like many other things, especially in the entertainment industry, it's always, what have you done for me lately? And yeah, the last thing was like, instead of Rocksteady, it was Suicide Squad, and the other was Anthem and Mass
Andromeda.
Effect Andromeda. So it's like, no, so you got to go in with a skeptic eye of like, are you back or are you not? But
I'm
and as
skeptical.
everyone's
That's all it
saying,
is. I'm not.
like you're saying, it's like you can go in hoping that it's good, but you have to remember the last thing they put out. So until you actually see something, you can't get hyped like Benches, where you're getting hyped off nothing.
Keep in mind, I love the Mass Effect trilogy. That trilogy is incredible. They did such a great job. And then Andromeda came. So as much as I am hyped for the next Mass Effect and that they're possibly bringing back all the characters I love, I'm still gonna be skeptical of that game until I see or
Yeah,
improve in
until-
others.
Yeah, until it's out and graded and everything else. You know,
Talking chat, you two.
What?
I noticed
saw-
what you're saying.
we saw Liara in that Mass Effect trailer. That's all. It's going to be golden.
man, just
I-
put Tali in there, the best girl.
No one cares about her.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
We gotta change
Okay,
I
Fuck
care about
Tali.
Tali. I care about it. Just move on.
All right. Let's move on. We talked more than enough about Dragon Age. Let's get into what we've been playing. Oh wait, actually, what's this? All right, Bench. Tell me about.
Okay,
what is
we've
this?
got
Dawn Trail.
At Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail had its previews this week, and surprise, surprise, everyone really likes it. They really like the new jobs, Viper and Pictomancer. They feel different, and everyone's like with 7.0, we're getting the graphics update.
Pictomancers?
You paint things, and it does magical attacks.
Okay.
Yeah, so Green Mage from FF6. But I mean, like, everyone's just also impressed with the graphics update. They said everything looks good. They got to explore 2 new zones in one of the new hub cities, and everyone was really impressed with all those things. Nothing like huge sweeping for the returning job, like all the jobs that are here. Just kind of like expanding on what they are, and that's good because I liked Reaper and Black Mage, so that's exciting. Nothing really on story, which is definitely my chief concern for Dawn Trail. But I think, they'll always pull out something crazy and it'll be good Final Fantasy stuff. So I'm going to drop in like 3 weeks. So I'm very excited. Going to be a good time. I will be skipping the podcast for it. That I can confirm.
Is what was about that? Is this like, can people jump into this if they wanted to?
No.
Listen, no. You have to. There's final.
So
You have
let
to
me
catch
explain.
up.
So I recently got into this. Let me explain how this works. All right. For
Or,
anybody-
yeah, let me see from a new player perspective.
For a new player, they're showing off this fancy new expansion, right? All the cool shit. You have to first of all, you have to get into the game. You have to buy the game, so you all that subscription, all that. You then have to play through the base game, all previous expansions, while paying for your subscription, by the way.
It's
And
good
then
content.
after fighting the servers, because the server's gonna go crazy when the expansion drops.
Whoa.
If you're able to
back to that.
finish all that other stuff, which is like hours and hours of content, and you be stuck there for whoever knows how long doing all that shit,
It's good
then
content.
you can go. Then and only then can you then jump into the new stuff. And by that point, there'll probably be 2 other expansions at that point. But that's how it is.
I caught up in 6
That's a
months.
lot. That's a lot.
I mean,
6 months is a lot to
definitely-
catch up. I'm not saying saying it's
definitely-
a con of the game.
It's definitely a commitment, and I think Dark saying server stuff that should not be an issue this time. Dawn Trail happened. Endwalker happened whenever. Like, it was the only expansion ever with login issues. It was like the influx of new players coming to FF14 because WoW was dying. It was the chip shortage, so they couldn't really like fix anything. It was pandemic, so everyone was jumping in on it. This time they've added new data centers to like every region. They've added like 8 new servers to every region. So like they've definitely beefed up stuff, and the capacity for even the previous servers is just higher. So there really shouldn't be many issues this time. They're really stressing that an Endwalker should not be repeated with the launch of Dawn Trail. And also Dark was saying like you have to get through all that content. I wouldn't describe it as get through, because what you're going through is like one of the best JRPGs ever.
He asked how was it to get to like that new stuff. So you do have to get through it.
You do, but to also say like the graphics update which is coming, that's going to affect the entire game. You're gonna see that from the very beginning. So that's like free.
How many expansions are there?
This is the 5th, not including the base game.
Wait, is base game a Realm Reborn?
Yep.
Yeah. You have to
So
play through that in order to get to the expansion.
Well, you don't have. If it's main game, like, I don't know. It's not that crazy to me. Sounds like most other big RPGs with DLCs.
Yeah, you say that, but then like, does that take you like?
You're gonna play this if you know what you're getting into.
Around 500 to 700 hours, give or take. Like, this is a little bit extra.
You know what you're getting into.
Yeah, that's every MMO.
I will say, like, looking at doing the math, Dawn Trail should make it to where the total of main quests is over 1,000. Like, the number of main quests you have to complete will reach over. It's like very late 800s, and usually it's a little over 100 each expansion. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, hey man. Well, you and Fusion are going to be raiding together come June 28th.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna be waiting on that game.
Moving on to what we're playing right now, though, just real fast Paper Mario update. I beat the game. Bench beat the game. It's just as good as I remember. Love it. It's kind of what I like from an RPG. Backtracking still isn't good at all, but other than that, very happy with the game. It's a great remake.
It was a great remake. I definitely enjoyed it. There was definitely more lows than I remembered. Like, it's not the like masterpiece maybe I remembered it by, but it's still like an 8.5, really solid RPG that's like, it was just a joy playing. Like, combat's great, characters are great, the charm's great, and honestly, like, that final boss is also pretty cool and that whole thing. So, I really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
I didn't do the Pit of 100 Trials, so. Bob hates everything, though. Bob can never be happy.
What a hater, man.
I hate that guy. Pit of 100 Trials is actually pretty easy, though. Especially I'm
I bet it was easy, but I was at the point where I wanted the game to be like over, and I know that's like still like an hour or two commitment. So,
no, I reached that point when I beat the game, and I was like, do I want to do the super bosses? Nah, like I got what I wanted. Very happy though. Fusion.
So you're weak.
I'm not weak. I did the Pit of 100 Trials. You did it. Like, there you go. You don't get to say nothing. Fusion. Tell me on this.
What up?
9 souls.
Okay.
Not
okay.
it's SOLS, not
Yes.
souls.
Yeah, it's not SOULS. Or like my friend will text me and he says 9, like he puts the literal 9, and then I don't know. Just besides the point, it's not okay. It's a Metroidvania from from a band named Red Candle, I think is their studio, which is crazy because before this game they've only ever worked on 2 indie horror games. They were an indie horror game studio, which I've heard their horror games are really fun, or like really good. I haven't checked them out, but this is like a 2D Sekiro style, like very inspired. They name drop it, like it's very inspired. Like the combat is just parry based. Like obviously there is a dodge and there's jumping and like your classic 2D platformer, but it's the 2D platformer close to like the parry button is just so important, and every boss fight, every combat encounter is so like based around you just have to get good at parrying. I know like when Souls fans would tell me like Sekiro is the one Souls game where like you just have to get good at the parry or you're not winning. Like you're just not succeeding against those bosses. Where like this feels like the exact same way. If you don't get good at the parry, you were never beating this video game. There's no way to cheese the bosses. There's no way to get around them. You can't just constantly dodge. If you're not parrying, you're not winning. So I know there's a lot of parry fans in this chat. They're not getting loud right now, but they're here.
Wait, no, what did you want me to say?
I just wanted you to say like,
I'm like,
I'm gonna you and Doug to start like hyping or something, but
No.
You said this chat.
love a good parry.
well, yeah, well, this.
I didn't know that was my cue to talk. I'm sorry.
No,
I love a good parry mechanic. The thing is, it's just like to me, Sekiro is just like the gold standard of a parry.
Oh, I'm sure it's
I feel
probably like yeah, it's not gonna be
so-
that, but
Yeah, it's so hard to nail that parry to get it as close to feeling, which I'm not expecting all games to do. But it's just like I play a game with like a lesser parry, I'm like, oh, it doesn't feel as right. But hey, it still looks sick though.
it's a very tight parry and it feels good, which I didn't like the way I said that. But other than that, the art style is really nice. Like the art, like I'm blown away by some of the art where I'm like, this is like on Hollow Knight level of like just I'm running around certain levels. I'm like, this is really impressive. I think the level design itself is really impressive for a Metroidvania, where it's that classic Metroidvania where you reach certain points on the map where you can't reach yet, but later on in the story you get an ability and then you remember, oh, I can go there, and you go back there and then you find a new spot and there's shortcuts. Like there's a bunch of shortcuts to unlock, just like every other Metroidvania. Like they're not doing anything. Like they're not evolving the genre at all, but they don't have to. Like they're just doing your classic Metroidvania, like more like Hollow Knight or Dread or any of like the modern ones. I think the backtracking is I understand Metroidvanias are always going to have backtracking. That's like part of the genre. But this is a little excessive at times where I'm like, it doesn't feel like there's enough fast travel points where I'm walking from point to get to my last fast travel point. I'm walking more than I want to. Fast travel itself is a little annoying. They do that thing where you can only fast travel to your nodes. Kind of like if you guys remember in Hollow Knight, you can only fast travel to the benches. Like you have to sit on a bench and then you can fast travel to another bench in Hollow Knight. This is very similar where you have a node that you can fast travel to. But you don't unlock that ability till later in the game. And then even later in the game, you unlock an ability where you can fast travel to your home base. And then from your home base, you can fast travel to any other point on the map. So you're going through 2 loading screens. Instead of being able to fast travel from node to node, you always have to go back to the home base from the node and then to another node. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Kind of
so
sounds like Prince of Persia.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know how that works, but like it's very much like, why are we doing 2 entire loading screens? Which they're very fast, obviously, especially in modern gaming and SSD. There, it's just more of like, why do I have to go back to this main node instead of just, hey, I should be able to fast travel from every single one. Like I have them unlocked. And other than that, like again, the bosses have been really good. I think everyone should check it out. The game does it's very narrative intensive. Like this isn't Hollow Knight or other Metroidvania 2D indies where like the narrative not very. This is very much like you can't skip it. There's no skip dialogue. It's telling you.
Wait, what?
I mean, you could skip it in the point where you can click A, but it's not like something where you can just skip entire cutscenes. Like there's no skip cutscenes.
Well, okay, that's fine.
You can click A,
I don't care.
but even then it's slow. Even then it comes out like reading in a text box, and you can't click A to move on until the text is like come all the way out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Other
Yeah, I agree.
Metroidvanias, they have a lot of like you mentioned Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight has a lot of story, but it's just
But
presented in a different way.
yes,
So
it's
this is more
environmental and
more
stuff.
direct. Yeah.
Yes, this is a more direct. They are straight up telling you the story here. There's some environmental stuff like Hollow Knight and other Metroidvania, but this is more like they're from the get go, from the very beginning of this game, you get a dialogue box type thing. Like they're telling you the dialogue box there. It's not voiced. So I know some of you here don't like the voice, so
I
you
love
don't have
reading,
to worry
bro.
about
Don't
the
mind
voice.
me.
So you can just sit there and read as fast as you want, whatever. Again, it's kind of slow and they kind of force you to like wait a second before you can click to the next step. And then there are some cutscenes where they are unskippable, which is why I told you, I said, I really recommend this game, I truly do, but I know how you are with story. Okay, not story. I know how you are with certain aspects
I
of.
want to point something out. I love story in games in specific genres. I do not like stories in Metroidvanias or roguelikes.
Okay,
Those are the
fair.
genres where it's like, do not tell me a story. I don't care. Like,
And
genuinely, there's probably a good story. I just don't care.
I would say the story is really good. I think I would be interested in seeing Dark
bet it
play
is,
because Dark has
Oh.
like, I hate all stories, but mine
Wait,
too.
whoa, what?
Okay,
That's
but I think
insane.
we'd have a good
That's
conversation about the story
insane.
because they're telling like unique themes. But yeah, it's definitely very story based. You're not good, but the bosses are so good in the combat. I will say the bosses are the best of the combat, and the step to step or like the small encounters aren't like some amazing. Like I think Hollow Knight does better combat. Other games do better combat, but it's still really good and it still feels really good. There's a unique ability where you're using a talisman where there's a whole presence of you dodging through enemies, holding your right bumper, and you place this thing on them that like explodes. Every time you hit a successful parry, you get charges back up for that, and that does a lot of damage. So you have this unique combat system of, hey, let me get parries off, use this dodge to put this talisman on them to get an explosion. Like it feels good. So like combat again is good. Another like my last downside really is I was expecting more from the music. I don't know if you guys ever go through a game where like obviously there's some good music tracks, but
that's rough.
you have it where like there's nothing been like memorable right now when I'm playing through this game. There's been one very, very cool boss OST, but when I'm just like going, one of my biggest things about Hollow Knight is every single zone has this unique music that I love to this day. Where in Nine Souls, I feel like all of them are one note, this like cyberpunk aesthetic where it's just not very great and it's not memorable. Like I would walk away from this game not thinking about the music compared to other games, which is kind of let down because
What's the music? Is it like techno? Is it like
it's like
dubstep or what?
it's piano based, so like in a Hollow Knight
Okay.
vein, but more like futuristic. Like think of like a futuristic piano, like cyberpunk, some like Chinese inspiration. Like it's not some of the tracks are really good, but
made in Taiwan, so
well, whatever, something where it's just like
I know.
it's not, but it's not fully hitting. Again, there was a very cool boss I played a few days ago that song still actually stuck in my head, but from a point A to point B, I'm just going through your levels perspective. I'm not sitting there where I'm like, wow, this music is really good, or this music is like I'm going to forget a lot of this music, which is a little upsetting because I love music in video games. I think indies do a great job most of the time with their music. But yeah, Nine Souls, it's cool. I thought I was gonna beat it before this podcast, but I'm legit in the last hour of the game, and I just didn't have time to play it earlier today. But I would recommend it. It is $30. It has
Not
less
bad,
content. It has less content than games like Hollow Knight, which cost less. So like, I can understand if someone's gonna wait for sale because this is probably like a 20-hour game, maybe longer if you're struggling more on the bosses. Like I'm at like 17, I'll probably wrap up at like 18 hours, 19 hours. And I'm not doing absolutely everything. There is still a lot of secrets and stuff that like I'm just not gonna go do. So I'm sure I could go out to 30 hours if I really wanted to. But it's up to you. I'd say wait. I think the polish, like I haven't run into any bugs. It's really polished. It runs great. But if you're someone who isn't super into like super heavy, like this story is very heavy. Like they're throwing it at you. There's a lot of it all the time. Like to the point where you know how in Hades too, Wolf, where you're like you kind of skip through when you get back to the home base and you skip through all those dialogues.
Yeah, pretty.
There's a home base in this game that's like Hades, where it's exactly like that. they want you to go and talk
Okay.
to these characters in this game, and there's cutscenes that you can't skip, and you're giving gifts to people, kind of in Hades vein, where like you're having conversation and you're learning lore and stuff. They have that in this game.
Why? Well, wait, like, okay. If it's told well,
I think it's still low.
I don't know. That's just so rough. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be like, story. How dare they? But like, I'm curious.
No, I can
how it's
understand
done.
because I've seen some Steam reviews. I've been reading some Steam reviews. Some of them are just idiots where they're like, "This game is too hard. It is very difficult." I forgot the difficulty. I think it is twice as hard as Hollow Knight. I'm not saying Hollow Knight's some very hard game, but for a lot of people, Hollow Knight is a harder video game. And I think this game is twice as hard as Hollow Knight, coming from someone who's played Hollow Knight. And like this game just is like you have to get good at this game. There's no cheese in it. There's no way around it. You get good or you don't survive. And if you like, the story is very thrown at you for an indie game.
Now you speaking my language.
I think everyone in here would genuinely like the game. Like I think they would try. I just think for $30, maybe wait if you're not going to be fully into it. Like maybe wait a while and.
I mean, I've been
see,
looking
but
for. I've been having a
Is it-
Metroidvania itch, so maybe I'll check it out.
Is it not on PlayStation?
no, it is console. I mean PC only right now.
Okay, I will wait.
You have a Steam.
I mean, I gotta. Yeah. Don't remind me.
But yeah, back to your point of it about the Steam reviews. I did see a lot of people on the Steam reviews saying like their negatives were like, I don't want to sit here and play this Metroidvania and have this story thrown at me. And like people are like saying, hey, there's like you have to pay attention. Like this story is very much thrown at you, and they're very much telling you something, and they want you to listen. And they want like people. I've seen those reviews where people are just like, nah, like they don't want to deal with story at all, and this game is forcing you. It basically forces you into the story. Is what I'm saying. There is like the game full stop to you. Cutscene, everything, like you're there to see it. Which for a lot of Metroidvanias, like we explained, like Dark said earlier, it's usually not like that. You're usually getting like environmental story or like dialogue here and there, but you're usually just out there exploring, doing everything on your own. This game's very much like, hey, no, we're telling you something. Listen.
Interesting. Well, you think it's gonna be a Game of the Year like discusser? Like people are gonna be talking about it by that time.
I don't think people are going to play it enough. I still see right now on OpenCritic there was 4 total reviews. It didn't have an OpenCritic page till 2 days ago. Like this is just a game that it's going to be one of those indies where it just goes completely under the radar. I would love if it was up there for Indie of the Year at the TGAs. I don't think it would win, but if it was even up there, like I just, hey, this game made it up there, that'd be really cool. But I feel like I would guarantee 95% of the industry will not play this game or have heard of Nine Souls by the end of the year.
Do you
Which
think?
sucks, 'cause I think it's
do
a
you
really
think-
good game.
Do you think this game has a second wind when it comes to console?
Um,
Or
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hollow
I-
Knight did. That's
yeah,
the
I
thing,
think
Hollow
I
Knight
think it
had
could.
very
It
good
depends. It depends how the marketing is, because even it's so hard
Mm.
because this is as indie gets. This isn't Hollow Knight or like they have no publisher. Like this is them just doing the thing where like a lot of people don't know their other games. Like if you said it's Red Candle Games or something, I should know the name.
do you
now,
think we
but,
could
like,
see this at
Red
a
Candle Games. That's
Nintendo Indie Spotlight or an Xbox or PlayStation
think-
Indie Spotlight? Because I think
Well, that-
though one of those 3 companies, they're very good at scouting out indies that are out on not on their platform that they fund to come to their platform.
if
That's
anyone
kinda my
maybe
thing.
Switch like Nintendo.
I think Nintendo were the first ones to get Hollow Knight with
Yeah,
and that worked out really well for them because everyone kind of viewed Hollow Knight as that Switch game for a while. I think it would be very smart. I think that's actually very likely if like you just see you're watching a direct and then it's just like, oh hey, this is Nine Souls, and they tell you a bit about it. Comes out in like a month.
I guess you could. It's a weird comparison, but Citizen Sleeper was very much, hey, PC only. A lot of people didn't know what Citizen Sleeper was, including me, before it came to console. Like I had no idea what that was before it hit console. I could see a world where it goes that route, where it's like, hey, no one knew what Citizen Sleeper was before it came to console. Still, a lot of people don't know, but at least more people know. But like Nine Souls, I looked up YouTube reviews like before the game came out, before they even had an OpenCritic page to like see if anyone's played this game, and like I was just getting nothing. Like it seems like this game, no one is touching it, which sucks. On the Steam, it has like it's positive reviews, which is awesome, and like there's like 3,000 reviews, so people are obviously playing it, and there's a fan base there. It's just weird how I've been hyping this game up for like I feel like a year now, like, and I thought it would be
Oh, yeah.
more in the public than it is. I really did think it was gonna be like this. Hey, this is a giant indie, like not Hollow Knight level, but I thought it was gonna be like Plecky Squire level or something of that level where it's gonna hit. It's an 86 right now on OpenCritic. That's a great score for an indie or any game ever. So like that's a great score. I thought it'd be more in the eyes of the public, and right now it just seems like it's completely under the radar.
Hopefully, it can get that second win that we were talking about. It looks beautiful. I want to check it out eventually.
The art style is
But-
genuinely very good.
Wait, hold up.
Oh yeah.
I have a
hold
game
on.
I'd like to discuss.
Oh, no. If it's a port of a game that you don't own, we
Shut
can't
up.
discuss
Shut
piracy
up.
on the
Sorry.
podcast.
Sorry,
is this
buddy,
a
you
game?
Sorry,
There's a
buddy,
game
you
I
can't
want to
talk about it.
discuss.
It's not new. It's not new.
Does it have to be no?
Well, that was the
No.
rule.
Super Mario was like last week.
Well, I mean, like, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Mm,
Your
exactly.
game was
close
last
enough.
year.
I don't give. I want to talk about it.
Hey, we'll let you
Fine,
talk
go
about
ahead.
it.
Alright.
Just don't throw spoilers around.
I mean, the game's been out for like.
Nope, I hear a spoiler.
No,
I don't
it's
wanna
not even
talk
a year.
about
You can't spoil it.
Nah,
You
fuck out
weren't
here,
on
though.
you weren't on the
What do
spoiler
you
channel.
mean?
Nah,
You
never
can't
mind.
talk about it without spoiling it?
You
Well, yeah,
can
but I want to
just tell
get
us after the
into it.
podcast if you have a spoiler.
Nah, that's it. Never mind.
That was wanting to spoil the whole plot for us, for the podcast fans.
Well,
Crazy.
if you guys want to see that, check out our spoiler cast for Spider-Man 2. That
Dark is
Dark's
not on that.
Dark's comments will be in the description.
He's gonna like type out an essay about it. All right, don't worry
I mean, I
about
won't
it.
be on. I can be on that.
Type
now.
out. He'll type.
Well,
We already
no.
did it.
That's the end of the podcast. I'm gonna get us out of here.
Miles better than Spider-Man 2.
Look at him, Moon. He's forcing you back into the outro.
I got it. He's got me back on my job. Okay. Well, that's the end of the podcast. Be sure to tune into our next special, which will be the wrap up of the Xbox Showcase this upcoming Sunday. I think we're doing it Sunday night, so the show might even be up Sunday night. Who knows? Or that'll at least be there by Monday. So be sure to look forward to that. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about there as well. So hope you've been enjoying this whole week of uploads from us, from our predictions to now the podcast to wrap ups and everything in between. So make sure to
All
like
for free.
all for free, by the way. Join our Patreon. We don't have a Patreon. So
Yes.
yet.
Yeah.
Make sure to like, comment,
Help
and
us
subscribe. And
Close to
because we're
1,000 subs.
we're almost to 1,000 subs. We're 50 away. Grant, I haven't looked yet, but last I looked, we were at 50 away. So keep on subscribing. Tell your friends, tell your family. So we'll see you on the next
Whoa.
episode.
Whoa.
Say goodnight, everyone.
Bob sucks.
Goodbye. Good evening. Good night. That's
I love
crazy.
Bob.
Shout out, Bob.
I love him.